Well, hi, everybody. This is Gail Craft from the Empowering Process podcast. And today's guest is Maribeth Decker. Maribeth is an animal whisperer, if you will. She actually talks to animal spirits, and she helps the owners and the animals kind of get back together and communicate. She does this for people too. The spirits are spirits. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And who knows where the conversation will go. So Maribeth Decker from Animal Communication, she's an animal communication, animal communicator, and this will still be in the recording. Positive. I can't even say it, Maribeth, so you say it. Positive.
I'm still practicing.
Okay, so positive.
Positive changes.
Yes, and it's with the paw. So we will blubber through this and just be humorous and cut us a grace, audience. Hey, Maribeth.
Hi. I'm so glad to be here. And I was somebody told me to say, what you do is animal communication for positive changes. Use positive. And then somebody else said, use your hands, make it fun. Okay. Whatever makes people like go, what did she say?
Well, it's definitely unique. And so, this is really interesting because you and I had a conversation beforehand, of course. And I was saying I have a cat who I was very, very close to, and he passed away, maybe 9 months ago now. And the other night, I swear he was on the bed. He was, and this is putzing around with my feet, putzing around. And I finally said, will you just settle down? I'm trying to go to sleep. And he did.
I've heard that story a lot. My mother-in-law, her cat would come up and sleep with her all the time. And it's very comforting. Once they settle down, I guess you got to say that part. But it's nice to know they still love us and they show up and let us know they're okay. That's how my journey started, actually. My dog, back in the day, I'm looking at his picture, my dog Timmy, showed up in the dining room, not the living room, the dining room, while I was in the kitchen working on a terrible dinner, probably. I'm a terrible cook in that respect. But he was just there after he passed, and he had the grin and the happiness. And I looked over and oh, Timmy, because I wasn't expecting it, and he disappeared. But he was happy. He was his full soul self, and he came back to let me know he was okay. So, when you get these good things, I just say thank you. I don't distrust what just happened.
There's more to this world than we can see. And it's been proven that our eyes don't see nearly what is really here. Right. So we don't really know what is or is not true. But I do know when it comes. So, for example, we have a dog, my daughter's dog, and she's pretty old and getting on there. And I know when she is not feeling well, just from the air and the way that she looks at me. Right.
Yes.
I know when she just needs a little bit more love and attention just by the way she's looking at me. Right.
Yes. Yes. There's so we say by the way she's looking at me, and I know you're picking up an energy from her as well. And yet it's more understandable for us humans to say, well, it's just by the way she's looking at me. But we're getting a lot more coming in from her that we can't quite describe. So we do the physical stuff. But you're picking it up, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. God, there's so much to be said around this and around connection and so forth. So I'll go a little bit on the spiritual side first. So I am becoming more and more open and intuitive and aware almost daily now. It's just exponential. And I know that when I know, and that's with a capital K, no, there's no words to it. And so when I try to explain it, I've diminished the knowing because there's no words for it.
Yes.
Right. And so
Yes.
right. And we communicated, I believe, better before language as beings than we do now. Right.
I love that thought. I think that's pretty accurate in my estimation. So I mean, it reminds me when I was I don't know, preteen. I don't think they called it that back then, but somewhere in the 12 or 13, I asked God if God existed from all my religious stuff that my parents sent me to. And because I was like, I don't know. I mean, it sounds good, and I had the experience, uh, and source, God withdrew. And here's where the words don't work very well because I cannot explain to you the experience that will let you feel what I experienced. And it's very depressing. No, not depressing, it's frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
That God with source withdrew and said, this is what it'd be like if I didn't exist. And it was like somebody just took all the oxygen, all the air off the planet. I'm like, and then came back. And I'm like, well, I won't have to worry about that. You've made that very clear to me. But to let you feel the feeling and experience what I experienced, I don't think the words are doing it very well.
No. And for me, the level of love is not explanatory.
That's right. I thank you for reminding me because I felt love and care just oodles. It was not a just like, how do you say it? It wasn't just an energy. It was it this not it. This presence, this source had total love, total care. It was great.
Yeah.
And then you go, well, I'm 12 years old. What am I going to do with that?
Right. So then you go on with your life. And I call it compassion. And you know that compassion, right?
Yes,
Really, really caring for what we have chosen to go through. You know, so back to the animal. So I've had a few animals in my life, and whether it doesn't matter what the animal is, I always am connected. Like people will say, are you a cat person or a dog person? I'm like, no, I am both. I mean, an animal is an animal, right? Cats are easier. That's all I have to say.
A lot of people that would disagree with you, but I love that.
Right.
I got both, so
right,
I love
exactly.
them all.
I've had both all frequently, and they get along fine. But right now there's just the dog, and she follows me around, and she's not my dog. She's my daughter's dog. She follows me everywhere. When we sit in the living room, she sits with me. My daughter will call her up on the couch, and she gets on the couch with me. Right. And you know, my daughter will get frustrated every once in a while, and she's, you know, that is my dog. Like, not really.
This dog has her own free will, I'm sorry to say, just
right?
like humans do.
Right. And she's gotten deaf. And so we do hand signals, and she knows when, you know, it's time to come. I want you to go there. I want you to lay down. And it took nothing for me to, as soon as I started doing them, she knew exactly what to do. So I know it's me wanting her to do that she does what she does, you know. And I care a lot for her, just like I did for the cat when he was here, you know. And I know that she doesn't have that much longer, so you know, I have patience with what she goes through. Sometimes not so much. It's like, I gotta be on a call and you want to go out, are you kidding me? The timing is awful, right? So I try to take care of business before I get on calls.
Yeah.
You know, so talk to me a little bit about when you first realized that you were able to actually communicate with animals, and how you started to work with humans and their animals. What was that like?
Well, it came as a complete surprise to me, Gail. I got to tell you honestly. I was kind of finishing up my second career in an association, and was taking energy healing Reiki training. I became a Reiki master, and the energy stuff just was great for me. Uh, and I was working with people. And then I told you the Timmy story, and that happened after my energy shifted from the training. Everybody's story is different. I know that. But my dogs started communicating with me. And it's so funny now. I talked to my friend Mary, and who's got horses and rescue donkeys, and I said, "Look what's happening." She says, "That's called animal communication." I'm like, "That's a thing?" Okay. So I got training because I wanted to do it on purpose. Because right in the beginning, it was just like random things for my own animals that there's probably more going on, but that's what I remember and noticed. And then started working with animals and their people. And what a joy when somebody comes to you and says, I want to know how my animal's feeling, or why are they doing this. Generally, even with the frustration or the sadness, there's so much open-heartedness in the human that I fell in love with doing this, because I'm not just doing animal communication like they said this, you tell them that, but there's a relationship between that we're working to make it more joyful for both or all parties. And then I just fell into it and said, "Oh, this is what I love. I love this stuff." And I started working with mostly dogs and cats, but I've done horses and bunnies and hamsters and parrots, and et cetera, et cetera. So
Right.
yeah.
It's interesting. You know, at the time that we're recording this, the LA fires happened about a week or so ago, and brought LA to its knees. And honestly, last Friday, a friend of mine organized a bunch of us to get together, and we did a meditation, and we formed a golden ring, and we started bringing the animals up that died in the fire. And in the ring, we had food and water and blankets and healing, and then help them move on. So that was like a way station for them to come and calm down and get some love and care, and then move on. And there were, dogs and cats and birds and snakes and cockroaches and just all kinds of whatever, right?
Yeah.
Coming through that, because, no one thinks about the animals that, didn't make it.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that's so lovely.
Yeah. And there were a lot of human souls that came through, quite frankly. And what's interesting, you see there's a dragon behind me.
Yes.
I don't think I had the dragon up. I think I had it because I have different backgrounds. And the woman that was running the meditation said, "And the dragons have shown up." And I'm like, "Of course he's here." Right. And I just visualized my dragon going down and picking up animals and bringing them to the way station, going down and bringing them, helping those that couldn't make it get to the station so that we could give them some healing and move them on.
That's so beautiful. It's I think it's a it's they don't always just cross the rainbow bridge. I believe just like us, well, maybe people don't know, but humans who are holding on to things, I have a harder time getting to that lovely place for whatever reason. And what you saw just clarifies for people that when there's a tough ending, something that's scary and fast, it's lovely to be able to help the animals. That is assistance, and it's very great to get those souls over to the other side.
Yeah.
However you define it. So thank
However,
you.
right. And
So-
what we did after that was we healed, Mother Earth. We went down to the roots
Yeah.
of the trees and healed them as well, because they're still burning. And then any negative energy that we saw, we locked in a cage.
Oh,
We kind of cordoned it off and locked it into a cage so that it would be away. So we're giving that area a chance for rebirth.
oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
this is
good.
where the kind of work that we do, because everyone has energy that they put out. But as you wake up, it gets stronger. The waves get stronger, right? And so
Yeah.
when I get angry, judgmental, frustrated, it has a huger impact on the rest of the world.
Mhm.
And so it's really important for me to be intentional about my feelings and what I do with situations. And so I look for, what does this mean in a positive way for the world? And how can I promote that, make it better, be part of the healing process, right? Rather than part of the fear and anger and shame and guilt. I've had plenty of that in my life and I'm done with it.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
And so what do you hear from the animals when you get to talk with them? Because they're innocent. They're so innocent.
Uh, well, one thing it's funny. Well, let me go back to the LA fires. I do a cleansing for me, just exactly what you're talking about, like clearing out all the stuff that I had judgmental and have it change, dissolve and change into love and light. And then I think about, where do I want it to go? So last week, a lot of that went to the LA fires and everybody around there, because it's the same thing. It's like, no, okay, who needs it most? Okay, we're going to Southern California. I know a friend of mine in Altadena who lost their house.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and they're okay.
Yeah.
Family's
It's
okay.
just a house. Just a house.
Yep, 3 dogs, husband, wife, they're good. But getting back, when I check in with the animals, I don't usually check in with an animal species. I'm always checking. My forte or focus is on what is up with this particular animal in this particular time and place and what they're dealing with.
Mhm.
And so I'm going to answer maybe in a different way, but it's really good, because what I find out is are there, especially with animals who are, we call them rescue animals. I like to say I adopted them, but who had tough starts.
Yeah.
I can find out what's the cause or the origin, and then we can work to get some healing going to release the fear and the anguish and the distrust.
Distrust was what came to mind. Yeah.
Okay, because yeah, we were just working with a little dog who just has a lot of distrust about humans, and she's not the first. And when we can do that, then from the humans side of relationship, we can then ask for changes in the behaviors, because a lot of these guys come in with behaviors that humans do not love to live with. Peeing inside the house, not using litter boxes, fear, aggression. And there's a reason for that, and
Right.
I'm going like this because something else, and not just like, how can I piss off my human today? Generally not.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I have to tell you, so the cat that I got him when he was 4. There's a whole story behind how I got him.
Yeah.
And he had been declawed He was declawed, tooth removed, and neutered at the same time. So some trauma, right?
Mhm.
And he was the type of animal that if you could pet him and then all of a sudden he would attack and bite. So, I did some research. What does that mean? And they don't really know, other than they think it's like when you rub on one spot. So the animal's oversensitive and they love it and then they don't want it anymore. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so I have to pay attention to his ears, his tail, his body language. Right. And we got to, when he did, I would put him in timeout because to hit him, I'm teaching him more aggression. That's
Yeah.
right. I'm trying to teach him non-aggression. Right.
Yeah.
So it'd be like, if I'm in the living room, you go in the bedroom, and it'd be until he calmed down, 5 minutes. Then let him out. If I'm in the bedroom, he goes in the whatever. And it got to the point where I would just have to point, and he would back up, yelling at me, I swear, swearing at me, and go to whatever other room he had to go to. Right. But it settled down. It never totally went away because that oversensitivity was there. Right. But I was the one who became very aware of, oh, he's getting there. I need to stop. And he would want more petting. And I would say no, because
Yeah.
it's too much for you. Right. And so
Right.
part of they communicate as best they can to you. And that's with their body language.
That's true.
Right.
That's true. You do. Yeah. And I love that because as much as I communicate with, I have two cats that have disagreements, and I'm doing the animal communication and also the love and all that stuff. I'll do the physical stuff too, because it feels like it's the inner and the outer supporting.
Yeah.
Like, I love you both, but I really love you to get along.
Right.
And I really love you to get along. And and then I do the practical, like if the stare down starts, I stand between them and say, yeah, let's not do that, or move one out of the way. So I think it's a good combination to have the intuition plus the physical watching of what's
Right.
going on, right?
Right. So share a story, a recent story, if possible, of a human and animal interaction that you were able to resolve some misunderstanding, some conflict, or maybe some
Okay.
behavior issues that the audience could relate to.
Okay. Let me just think about what's going on. I'm going to start with a personal story, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so my dog Tibor, who passed a couple of years ago, uh, when we got him at a year and a half, he's a 50-pound boy, and he had fear aggression. Physically, he's a year and a half, right? I said that. Broken teeth, scars, lumps, scared of squeaky toys. And I was just beginning my intuition, connecting with animals. And he was even afraid to come in the house. We had to coax him in with love and let him do it on his own time. So he's a kind of a big guy, growly, and I called the rescue group up and they said, "Oh, bring him back." I said, "No, wait, I just wanted to see if he had any advice." So I used my intuition. Said he could sleep on the bed with my husband and I. So he loved it. He got up on the bed with me, but he started doing the aggressive growling at my husband. Like, this is not going to work, T. This is not going to work. So I connected with him and I explained that this was Charlie and my's bed and he was a guest and he was welcome, but it's always his bed. So then I got him a fresh new bed and said, now this is your bed, T, this is yours. I will not let the cat sleep on it. Nobody, this is the T-Bor bed, and you can stay there anytime you want. You can come and visit us, but you gotta be kind. And his fear aggression went away. He came and visited us on the bed, but he saw the other bed is my bed. And it was the first time he had his own bed for his own life. And it was a
Right.
big change. And he did really well in the family. So that was one of the big wins for me. I'll tell a funnier story. That's a deep story. Well, we're going to go there. So friends of mine had two dogs, and I can tell this story. That yeah, Heather and the dogs were good dogs. I know them. They passed away since, but they would play hump each other. We're going there, okay, in front of her. And I would say to them, Heather, she really doesn't want to see you guys doing this, buddy. Um, and you guys got to stop. It's not a thing that humans want to watch. And they stopped doing it. And in front of her, but then we recontacted me saying they're not doing it anymore for me, but they're still doing it in front of my husband. Oh, well, I didn't include John in the story. I apologize. Let me go back and make it clearer. No human really wants to see this, guys. You can go play it, but not in front of both of them. And they stopped doing it in front of both the husband and the wife. And they're lovely guys. They were just lovely, but it stopped. So it switched over. So there's little things that, there's other big things where you can actually shift over and ask for a change in behavior.
Right. And sometimes it's as simple as them understanding, right?
Yes.
And they
Yeah.
understand more than we give them credit for. I think we understand them way less than they understand us.
That's a wonderful point. I'd say that they are already in the energetic realm of using energy to communicate back and forth. And I think if you've ever had one of your pets stare at you like this, you're like,
Yeah.
damn it, I'm yelling this as loud as I can. Why are you not receiving this? The rest of the household gets it because they don't understand why it's not two-way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the dog will do. In fact, the cat used to do that too. It would just sit there and stare at me, and I would look and say, I don't have time right now. So you can sit there and stare all you want, but I don't have time right now. Or, oh, have I been ignoring you? I'm sorry. Okay, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. My cat Mac was so clear about it. He loved to chase balls, and so he would come up when I was working, and he'd drop the ball in front of me. Well, who can misunderstand that?
Right.
I'd say like what you were doing is like, oh well, I got this thing. I'll finish in about 10 minutes, and then we'll go play.
Right.
Or look, man, I'm busy, but I love you anyway. Can you settle down? And either way, he was okay
Right.
once I responded.
Right. Right. Exactly. I mean, they both understand when I say that. So like I said, they understand more. My daughter used to watch a reel of this woman. I don't know which social media it was on, but she had trained her dog to point to the alphabet. So she had like,
Yeah.
you heard of that, right? And the
Yeah.
dog could communicate quite clearly what was going on. Like if mama was gone and the dog was sad, the dog would spell out sad, mama gone.
That's so beautiful. I think we underestimate the intellectual and emotional and even spiritual aspects of our animals.
Yeah.
For me, they have souls. Um, I'm thinking maybe even mosquitoes might. I don't know. They're not my favorite.
Everything is energy. Everything.
Thank you. Thank you.
The table is energy. The chair is energy. And when you think about, one of the things that I do when I do a meditation is I explain to people that what we're breathing in, that oxygen that we're breathing in, is life force energy. We can't live without it. So it's life force energy. What we exhale for the rest of the planet is life force energy.
Oh, lovely.
Right? Because the plants need,
Yes, of
right?
course.
So
Yes.
we are symbiotically keeping each other alive,
Mm-hmm.
right? With the in-breath and the out-breath. And I call what's going out compassion. So it's compassion for the earth, life force energy in, compassion out, right?
Oh, beautiful.
Right. And it's kind of
Yeah,
what it
and
is.
I love that. I think if we could incorporate that even more in our relationship with the other species and the planet, we'd be
We'd be
we would
better
all be
stewards. We'd be better stewards.
we would be better stewards. I had this funny thing that somebody said I should turn into a children's book, um, but I did get this thing about all the different species of the world getting together and and it's a conclave about the human race, and they're saying, where are they going?
Right.
And
And what can we do about it?
and what can we do about it? So they all look at so for me, they look at the dogs and the cats and they say, you go join the families and start to show them that we are living souls with our own families, and we've got thoughts, and we love and we grieve, and we want happiness, and open their minds up and open their hearts up to the rest of us. And the cats and dogs, because that's what I've got, said, okay, we'll do what we can.
Right.
Go, we'll get it started.
All right, we'll go get domesticated. We'll do it.
We'll do it. And then I'm hoping that as we do more of communication with our own animals that live in our families, we'll start to see the beauty of the birds and the trees and the clouds,
Mhm.
and that there's just so much more, and we can influence it, just like you're saying. But first we got to see that there could be relationship and there's worth in all other aspects of creation.
Right. I mean, this earth is, this universe is a symbiotic creation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And Mother Earth does not need us to do quite well, right?
Yeah.
We need Mother Earth
Yeah, we do.
to survive. And so knowing that I don't want to say you, look at, like I'm looking at the snow there, it's beautiful. It's horrible to walk in. It's freezing out. It's cold across the country, but it's beautiful and it's
It is.
cleansing, right? And it's protecting, and it's also alchemizing. A friend of mine had one time had said, I mentioned the leaves were falling and how beautiful the colors were. And she's from California, with they don't have leaves to fall.
Mhm.
And she said, what do you do with all those leaves? And I said, well, after the winter snow has gone, they've all turned to beautiful topsoil.
Yeah.
The leaves alchemize and turn from the cold. Yeah.
And I was thinking I'm hoping you can explain this, because this is very much for me like something transformed. I'm in Virginia now. We haven't had real snow, for like 3 years. I grew up in Buffalo, so that snow is a fact of life. But I was mesmerized. I was watching the snow come down, and each snowflake was like a gift, and the movements. And I felt like I ended in a meditation somewhere that was so glorious. And I think even in the experience of the moment of something happening, like the snowflakes, changing from little tiny guys to the big guys and swirling around, there's something magical there that just lifted me up. It was glorious.
Isn't it? Isn't it? And I, by the way, am not a snow person. I am not a cold person. I could live in San Diego the rest of my life and be perfectly happy with it. Deal with the earthquakes and the fires. I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But here I am in the Northeast, and I love how clean the air is after it snows. I love how bright the sun is because it reflects off the white. I love how quiet it is because it's a blanket,
Yeah. It's
right?
beautiful.
There's so much to appreciate about it, and I think that's part of the journey that you are on with the animals, is really appreciating their worth.
I feel that way. I'm have a delightful relationship with all the birds and squirrels because I'm feeding them. Uh, I actually have this cool thing where I've got my cat seed up here, and on the other side of the ledge, I put bird seed. And so the birds and the squirrels come, the cats get to watch, and my joke is, and nobody dies.
Right.
I know that's good. That's a fact of life, but right now, everybody's enjoying themselves, and
Right. The cats don't have to kill anything. They get fed.
So they're like singing to the birds and then
Yeah.
squirrels and so yeah, there's joy wherever we can find joy.
Right. Right. And that's for me, the gratification of, no, I don't communicate with the animals like you do, but I do commune with them. I do
Yeah.
feel their presence. I do send love and care to them. I do love, unconditional love, man, doesn't get more unconditional than from an animal.
Boy, that's the truth.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like I don't know how this fits in, but I'm going to tell you a story that happened to me a couple years ago about what feels like unconditional love and care and concern, compassion. Within 5 weeks in 2022, both my dogs and my cat Mac passed away. And it was, I work with people whose animals are ready to transition before, during, and after.
Mhm.
I've lost many of my own, and still the human grief is just as tough or maybe worse. I don't know. Even though I know they're okay.
Right.
All right, we got that. I'm getting you that set up. The day, the night before Tibor passed away, I had the most beautiful dream where he was running around with my other dog Stella, who passed, and her big brother, who passed 10 years before, Siberian Husky, Mitsu.
Oh, gorgeous.
Mitsubishi. So we got the little Stella, Tibor, Mitsu, and they're running around with all these dogs, and it's so cool. I'm like, what the heck are we doing here, guys? And it felt like there was like a medical center or some kind of place that was taking care of the animals. And then all of a sudden, a fourth dog joined us, and I looked down, and it looks kind of like a, a beagle dachshund face, more of a dachshund face, but with long legs, and he's just running with them. And that December, that guy came into the family, and I'm getting so much love from him. The rescue people thought that he would never find a home because he was so needy and anxious. And here he is, he's over in the corner hanging out with me, living happily. And I'm like, my dogs didn't even stop loving me after they passed. They sent me the next one.
Right?
How good can life get?
They introduced you guys,
You sure did.
right?
So, yeah, at first I thought, no, I don't think so. And then I said, no, that I'm looking back at it.
Yeah.
So life is there's so much depth to our experiences if we start opening ourselves up.
Right. And there's so much that we miss because we believe that this is the only thing that's real. And
Honestly.
this is the only thing that's an illusion.
Talk more about that for me, will you?
So my in its beliefs, these are all stories. We don't know until we pass. The truth doesn't come to us. Well, maybe a little while before then. But everything is energy. We are energy. We come from a source that is energy.
Yes.
We are conscious energy, and we're conscious before we even came into this body. We chose to come into this existence for the experience. The experience is an creation of an energy that doesn't exist in pure love. So that experience, we're here to create that experience so pure love can observe it and expand.
Oh.
So that's what's our purpose? To expand the universe, right? To bring a new depth to energy through our experiences.
Oh. And I got to jump in
Yeah,
before
go.
So Newt, this is Newt, the guy I was talking about, really loves to be in here when I'm doing this stuff. And when he thinks there's something really good that was said, I'll get a big, and
Okay.
just as you said that, Newt just agreed with you. So I just wanted to,
Thank you, Newt.
yeah. All right. I apologize for jumping in.
So that's okay. So this third dimension is an avatar. If you look up the definition of an avatar, it is us. Look it up and you'll be, holy crap, right?
Okay.
Right. So we're an avatar, which is housing energy, right?
Yeah.
So it's through us, right? And we're here just for a short time, and we chose this existence. Some people say, I wouldn't choose this. Like I had a client who has chronic Lyme disease, and at one point she said, I don't even want to talk to you anymore because you believe that I created this. I'm like, okay. Now she's okay, so I did create it. So how do I, right? What am I trying to learn? What am I trying to share in this experience? What we've done is, as the avatars, this avatar was given free will, ego. So it's not completely manipulated by source. We can reject source.
Got it.
Right? And that's where we've gone awry, because we believe that our logical mind and our free will is the answer.
Yeah.
And that's the illusion.
Got it. You know, thank you for that, because what I've noticed, but you put it more clearly for me, is a lot of these experiences that I would never have chosen have increased my own compassion for others who make similar choices.
Yes.
I honestly like I think about the stuff with my dog. Somebody gave me a dog while I was still drinking to think that they would help me with my drinking. And I was like a C- parent, and she did okay. But I mean, I learned compassion and also learned that I needed to do better and to step up. And I'm sober now.
Right.
The stuff that happened through losing those 3 guys in 5 weeks. my compassion for loss in any respect, it has gotten bigger because I've experienced it, and I don't just judge or say, well, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
It
And
has
I've
shifted
learned
me.
not to judge anything. So, egos will still step in, ego is still there.
Yeah.
I went through my own journey of I call it, well, I wrote a book, Lessons from Hell. and and I would say that it was through that experience that I became one with God, that I no longer I sat and said, I don't want to ask you for help anymore. I don't want to ask you for guidance. I don't want to ask you for answers. I want you to come and be here with me. I want you in my life. I want you to sit here. I want you to sit at the computer with me and swing your feet while we're playing. I want you to enjoy this experience that we're in together. Right. And in that feeling, that's where this love, this amazing love came through.
Yeah.
Right.
I can feel.
And pardon me? Go
I
ahead.
can feel it.
Yes.
I can
Yes.
feel it in me because I've been working in that direction too. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, of course, that's why you're on this podcast. Right? I mean, it's not an accident that people are coming into my life. Right? And one of the gifts of going through what I went through, right? For example, the person the Lyme disease person, I called her and I said, I know you're in pain every day. It's your life. And I've been with you when you've literally atrophied and can't move from the pain. I will never be able to say I understand your pain because I'm not you, and I would not presume that I understand your pain. But I know what it's like to have to deal with that shit on your own because it's a solo journey. Doesn't matter who's there. You're going through it alone. And I now understand that.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
And this whole process that the human race is going through right now, guys, is a solo yet collective process. Right. So my clients are going through, I have a lot of clients going through the dark night of the soul. Right. And they're struggling with navigating through that. And that's what I went through. And I didn't struggle. I let it happen.
Lovely.
And that's the key. And so my job is to help my clients really not struggle, so that the alchemization and the change that they're going through can happen.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's going to happen anyway. So you can go kicking and screaming, right? And ripping your nails out, trying to hang on to the boards or whatever. Or you can say, okay, I mean, that was my response. It's like, okay, this is the journey I'm going on. Let's do it. Let's go.
And I'm in that place right now, interestingly enough. I'm rereading books I read 10 years ago, and I'm like, oh
I
yeah,
didn't get
okay, I
that.
get you, right? Oh, do you want to be happy or do you want to go through life? And I'm like, oh, that's right.
Right. And it's not that problems aren't going to come up. They're going to come up. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Right. But we can navigate through them without resistance, because the resistance it's not the energy of the resistance that we're here for. It's the energy of the experience. And when I allow myself to do that, the experience doesn't last long at all. Okay, I've had it. Move on.
Yeah, that's my task
It'll
on
happen.
a minute by minute basis sometimes.
Well, that's being in the present,
Yep.
present,
Yeah.
so, and I will leave you with one more word, and then I want to hear a wrap up for the wonderful work that you do. Okay, never mind. We are here to create our own story. And a guide of mine, his name is Franco. He's my January 1st podcast this year. Franco said to me, things happen by you, for you.
Got it.
They don't happen for you. You create your own reality so that you can have an experience, so that you can expand. Right. And when I look at my situations from that perspective, I don't resist them. Right. I created this for some reason. Right. One other quickie. So I have a dear friend, and she's a twin flame. Her husband passed away completely. He left to go hunting, never came home. I mean, it was like gone, right? And devastated. She was a wreck, but he's been with her ever since, guiding her. And she now says he had to die in order for me to grow. And he's here with me always. Would I prefer this? Of course not. I would prefer him to be here, but in order for me to do what I have to do, and for him, could only do it from that realm.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So what is the takeaway that you would love the listeners to hear about communicating with their animals and feeling that love and that compassion they have for us?
Yeah, this was great. I have to bring myself back down a little bit here to get into the practical, maybe even is a good word. I have this view that there'll be at least one of us in every family that is communicating with our animals, and through that, we all open up to the beauty of this world, and we open up to compassion and understanding, and maybe even our love and our compassion that we feel mutually with our animals helps us to feel that towards other human beings.
Right.
And yeah, I think if you are living with animals, there's a real possibility that you can take another step toward compassion with just in your relationship with them and understanding them with
They
them
can
that
help you grow. Yeah.
Yeah.
They can help you grow. So everybody, thank you. So, if you wanted to get in touch with you, though, this will be in the notes. But if you're just listening, how would people get in touch with you if they want to know more, Maribeth?
Well, the best place is my website. I try to put everything there, sacredgrove.com. And you can also email me at maribeth@sacredgrove.com. If you spell it right, Maribeth. I'd love to help. I work with animals that are still on the planet, and I've worked with animals who passed and all the way through. So, you can tell from, I think that I'd love to help in any way I can, make it just a much easier path for you and your animals.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Empowering Process podcast. If this interests you and you liked it, give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions, put them in the notes. If you know someone who could benefit from this, please do share it out. And always do remember to subscribe so that you know when we have the next episode. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Empowering Process podcast. Be sure to visit Gail at gailcraft.com to learn more about how she serves thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and goal seekers. And remember, if you like this broadcast, be sure to share and subscribe so you don't miss an episode.